everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Grue Room. And for the Grue Room today, we got wrestling personality, Cal Val, better known Valerie Wyndam. And I'm really looking forward to talking to her. We're going to talk about the wrestling business, about her hosting a Royal Rumble viewing party, and see what she thinks of her bestie, Mickie James, the Impact Women's Champion, entering a WWE show. So we're going to talk about all this and more. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters, and I am the host of the Grue Rume Show. And my interview with Val is coming up next. Okay, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm really looking forward to this show, and I love your personality. Like, you're always so outgoing and funny.
Thank you so much. Well, thanks for having me. And you know what? It's the only personality that I've got. So I'm glad you like it. It's the only one they gave me,
Right, exactly.
That's all I got.
And I mean, I was reading a little bit about, like, you're really big into fashion, and as I could tell, you're very fashionable.
Well, thank you. Yes, I've always been a big, supporter of getting dressed up and being glam all the time. And I think that's something that drew me to wrestling too, is I was like, wow, these people are not kidding around. It's sequins and sparkly spandex. What's not to like, My kind of people.
Right, exactly. That's true. how did you wind up getting your start in the great world of pro wrestling?
Well, it's funny that you're asking now because on March 30th, it'll be my 20th anniversary of being in wrestling. And I always just count from my first indie
Oh,
show. It was 3 days after my 16th birthday. So I was really young to get into it. I just loved it. I was like a big fan for like 2 or 3 years before that.
okay.
And yeah, and I was living in Southern California at the time, hence SoCal. And I had a couple friends that were much older than me, but they loved to go to wrestling shows. And I had just seen it on TV. So when I started to go to indie shows, I was like, wow, this is something that you can actually like get into. And, this is cool. And on the message boards, there's a message board called SoCal Uncensored. Big shout out to them because they've always been so supportive. And people were like, who's this girl? They said, who's this chick with the legs that keeps coming to these shows? And because I'm like, a mini skirt wearing kind of gal, as you do. And they were, I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm young and I'm dressed up and I'm like
Right.
very girly girl. I had no brothers to watch it with. It was just something that I loved. I was just trying to live out my Stephanie McMahon fantasy, still am. So I did my first show in 2002 and then just kept doing as many indie shows that would have me. Eventually got to go to Impact Wrestling with my little tapes and my resumes and asked to be given a chance, and slowly but surely kind of climbed that ladder to then get signed at like 18. And I was there for 9 years. So it just sort of snowballed from that. But I have to say, in my defense, I did put in the work. It wasn't like, oh, I stumbled into it. Like, I was there to be in the show and contribute. And like, oh, you need
Yeah.
a production assistant? I'll do it. You need a ring girl? I'll do it. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be a part of the project.
Oh, wow. Okay. And
Yeah.
it's funny you said Stephanie, because Cal Val, I heard that your character is based off of Stephanie, right?
Yeah, mainly Stephanie. That's my number one influence. But then I sort of added touches of other people that I liked, like Missy Hyatt,
Yes,
was a
yes.
big influence because she was doing kind of the hotel heiress. This is before Paris Hilton was even, I don't know if she was even born at that point, but that was her whole MO, being the spoiled rich biatch, if I can. And then Sunny was huge for me, Dawn Marie, people like that were really like bitchy heels, if I can say that
Yeah.
without
Oh, yeah.
sounding crass. But that's what I loved. Like I loved Miss Elizabeth as well, but I was never like one to really want to play a face. I was always the
Mhm.
heel, always my little handbag and like, giving crap to the fans. Like that was really the Cal Val character. And it's funny, I was just talking about this with someone the other day about how people that hadn't seen me on the indies before were like, oh, you play that character with Jay Lethal so well and you're like America's sweetheart. And I was like, thank you, but that's not what I'm used to. The
Right.
Sonjay stuff, the evil stuff, that felt like me, as horrible as that may sound. That's who I wanted to be, was that heel Stephanie, daddy's little princess character.
Yeah,
That's more fun.
exactly. Nice. So, like, when you first signed with in Impact Wrestling back then. It was called TNA Wrestling, and like one of the first people you actually got to work with right off the bat was Kurt.
Yeah. Yeah. What's crazy for me is that I'm such a Kurt Angle fan. And like out of all the people that I would want to work with, like I loved the Triple H, Kurt Angle, and Stephanie storyline. Like that love
Yes,
triangle to me was like the be
yes,
all end all. So the fact that Kurt was one of the first people, I was like, oh my God, this is just, how is this real life? Then I started to get to work with like the Hardys and like people that I like worshipped.
you
So
know,
it's amazing. I would say like other than maybe a couple people, maybe two max, that I like have watched from the beginning, I've not worked with. It's the weirdest thing. And it's not weird. It's actually really, I'm really grateful for that. I'm very hashtag blessed that I got to work with those kind of people, because when I say I was a fan, I still am a fan. You
yeah,
know, I was waiting in line to get autographs. I
yeah, exactly.
was, you know, on all the message boards in an RPG. Like I was full force, slept, ate, and, you know, breathed wrestling. And that was just all I could think about, was just being in wrestling and, you know, living out my diva fantasy, but never wanted to be a wrestler. More like the, you know, we just interviewed Tori Wilson
Yeah.
on GAWTV, and
Hmm.
I was telling her, like, with all due respect to serious women's wrestlers, I didn't want to be a Lita. I wanted to be a Tori. I wanted to be a Stephanie. So, yeah.
Awesome. And you did such a great job at it too. So
Oh,
it
thank you
was
so much. That's so nice.
it was definitely great to watch it on
Thank,
television.
thank you so much.
Yeah. And like you were talking about like working with Jay Lethal and Dutt, and like that was one of like the best trio things ever in wrestling, was your relationship with Jay Lethal, and then you turned on him and went with Dutt, and then that's when like the
Allegedly,
Angle
there was
side.
a change of heart. Yes, that happened. You know, things happen, you know, and not everyone's perfect. But no, it was fun. And like I said, it was funny that I was doing a wrestling love triangle, which is what I was so obsessed with, was with the Triple
Mhm.
H, Kurt Angle, Stephanie thing. And I was like, how cool that I get to do, you know, there's a lot of different storylines you can have, but for me, the romantic side of it and the, you know, will they, won't they kind of a thing, that was really fun for me to kind of play the victim for a while. And then that heel turn was just for me, the, you know, the pinnacle of the entire thing. That was so much fun.
Oh yeah, hands down, definitely. Like I remember watching. I was like, oh my god, this is great.
Like, what's she doing over there? Okay. Okay, here it comes. Yeah, you gotta watch yourself around me, especially if there's a ladder involved, you know? Just saying.
And like two people you got to work with too during your time there. One of them is now one of your close friends. She played Tara, Lisa, and Awesome Kong.
Yes, and what's funny is, you know, I'm such a girl's girl, so to be friends with all the knockouts was, you know, an easy fit for me, because and it's also neat because I was in the girls' locker room, but I was never, you know, a wrestler. So I was never, not that these girls would act like that, but there are some that I've met that are kind of like, okay, well, they're gonna take my spot and they're getting
Yeah,
more, you know, it's like that's a bunch of BS. I'm a girl's girl. I hate seeing that kind of stuff. And there's a little bit of that, but not from those girls, of course.
well, yeah,
Lisa
yeah.
and Kong and Mickey and Gail, those are, you know, the OGs. But yeah, getting to work with them was cool. And then now, since we have GAWTV, which again, if anyone's wondering, it's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. I know you'll provide the links,
Of
but working
course.
with Lisa and Mickey, we have that TNA Impact background, and we get to interview a lot of people that we've worked with for years. So we've had, you know, Awesome Kong on. It's one of the funniest episodes. If you're new to the show, please watch her episode, especially the first few minutes. And I'm not going to tell you why if you don't know, but it is
Oh.
hilarious. And yeah, we've had a lot of former Impact Wrestling people on there. We just had Scott Demore, who's still very influential in the
Hmm.
business and on camera aspect of Impact Wrestling. So it's fun to kind of, not only are we doing a talk show, and it is fun when we don't know the people, but when they're people that we were on the road with for years. We had like
Yes.
Devon, like,
Yes.
you know, these are some of our favorite people. Elijah Burke,
Yeah.
you know, people like that, that really, like, I literally, not even making a joke, I was 18 and up. So I grew up with these people. They were my
Okay.
family.
Oh
So it's
wow.
nice
Okay.
to kind of see them. Yeah, just that's kind of how we now reconnect, is virtually through the show. It's like, oh my
Well,
God, what have you been
yeah.
up to? Yeah. It's like a cocktail party. If people are wondering, it's like, imagine there was a VIP slumber party cocktail event, and the only difference is that you're invited and you can come hang out with us in our room and we're in our pajamas. Like that's what the show is. But it's fun.
Exactly. And like watching wrestling for as many years as I have, and I even wrestled too for like a little while. And
Did you?
I did.
Oh wow.
And the one thing like I love about the woman wrestlers always seemed like they went out there to work harder, because it seemed like, they have to prove that they could fit into, the wrestling world. And it
Yeah.
always looked like they worked harder, because the matches they had were amazing.
They are, and it's a very good point that you made, because sometimes I always worried that the girls would, be more prone to injuries or mistakes only because they felt that pressure. Hopefully they
Mhm.
don't as much anymore, but I'm
Well,
sure it's
yeah.
still somewhat there. We've come a long way, baby, as my mom would say, but we're not still, nothing's really equal yet.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think in some ways it kind of made me a little scared for them, because they were trying to do all, like, remember when Taryn Terrell and Gail were doing all those crazy matches,
Oh my
and
God, I
they
know.
were really intense and really hardcore, and I remember thinking, girls, please don't, do anything that I wouldn't do. They're wrestling, I probably wouldn't do that either, but they do have to prove themselves a little more, I think. And I kind of want to shake them and go like, well, just be safe about it. And they are,
Right.
because they're professionals, but I'm sure that there is that. We talk about that a lot on the show, because Mickie and Lisa have been in the business for so many years.
Oh yeah.
And they talk a lot about, like, that they go, oh, that was a great match for a women's match. It's like, no, 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 that was just a great match.
Mhm.
So that's the
Mhm.
difference, really. When it's girls like that, of that caliber, that are in the ring competing, it's just really good wrestling, not for women's wrestling. It's just good wrestling.
Oh, exactly. And Gail Kim was always like hands down like one of my all-time like greatest to ever step into the ring, man or woman. I mean, the
So,
matches that she had over at T TNA, and I remember the steel cage match she had and everything,
mhm.
and like she was on another level.
She was, and it's crazy, because there's so many feuds that she's had, and so many roles that she's had at Impact since I've been there. I mean, I was just thinking the other day about her. Somebody mentioned Jackie Gata. She and Jackie Gata
Yeah.
were doing some really progressive things when she was with AMW and people like that. And then, Tracy Brooks is someone I talk to, not all the time, but I still regularly try to reach out to Tracy. Let's Zoom, let's get some wine and we'll Zoom together and catch up. And she's somebody who, she and Gail were really the kind of the original knockouts who were championing for other women. And, that was something that the knockouts were sort of at that point reduced to, not that, and listen, I'm a manager, valet,
Well,
advocate,
yeah.
but if these girls were professional wrestlers too, I
Yeah.
think, first and foremost, and they managed because it made sense in the storyline, but they were really hoping to get chances to wrestle. And Tracy and Gail were like some of the first ones ever. And then you have the Asylum days as well. Mickie was there as
Mhm.
Alexis Lurie, and
Oh,
Trinity.
yeah,
There's a
that's
lot of
right.
people that were
Yeah.
really great in Impact Wrestling that kind of paved the way for this knockouts division, which is so saturated with great talent. That's what Scott Demore and I were talking about on the show, and Gail as well. And the thing is, now Gail is in a position to influence and kind of help manage and produce some of these knockout segments and matches, which is so cool, because who better to be at the helm of that than Gail? And now they have
Exactly.
Mickie. Like, this
Yeah.
is, if I were a female wrestler, I would be clamoring to get on the Impact Wrestling roster.
Oh my God, I know. I know, like, in Impact Wrestling, like, I still consider that, like, one of the big 3, like, of course, you got
Yeah.
WWE's first, AEW second, and Impact's third, and I still
Yeah.
consider that, like, one of the main places yet.
Yeah, and it's nice to have options nowadays. Like, it was kind of WWE and then Impact when I was there, and then there was a time where ROH was doing really, really well
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And now, I think they're still going to be making a comeback. At least I heard that. I hope so.
I know, I
But it's
hope
just
so
nice that there are
too.
more options. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot more options now than there ever was. I mean, you even got, like, the independent ones like G GCW,
Yeah, they're
and
huge nowadays.
I
And then
know
there's
they're
WoW Women of Wrestling.
yes, yes, exactly. I think A J Lee, I think she's part of that. Wow.
Oh, is she?
I'm pretty
I
sure
didn't
I
know
was
that. I know
reading
it's like
something
based
about
in
that.
California or something. Yeah, I mean, there's,
Mhm.
and then there's Shine. So, I used to work for Shine quite a bit.
Yes,
Back
yes,
in the day, there was Shimmer. I'm not still sure if they're running, but there were some really good promotions. But I think now it's just a much better time to be an independent or like a free agent in wrestling right now. And it's kudos to those who have contracts in big companies. That's wonderful. But it's not really a needed thing anymore, which is really cool. Very
exactly.
progressive, as opposed to when I was in there and people were like, oh, even on small indie shows, like on my first ones in Florida, it was like, you can't go work down at the Armory down the street. I'm like, what, for the 20 people? Like, I think I'm good. I don't think you're paying me. Actually, they weren't paying me anything, but for the first like 3 years. Not that I'm bitter about it, but hey, $10 for gas money is boy the only thing I saw for 3 years. Anyway, moving on. The point is, you can't dictate where someone works when you're like it's 17-year-old trying to make it in the industry. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not, Trish Stratus, where I'm under this contract and I'm, these are independent shows, and who cares? Like, let's stop
Mhm.
fighting amongst ourselves. You're only, hurting everyone's competitive vibes, and we all thrive better when we have some competition.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I always said that like the WWE is at its best when they have someone going against them. Like back then when WCW was going against them, they were at the top. And now
Yeah.
they picked up their game a whole lot once AEW start gaining fans. And I
So
see
true.
the product is getting a lot better now for WWE.
Yeah, and we have to also do, just because we're on a rant here, we have to stop doing the thing where people pretend that they don't watch other products. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I will say, like, when I was at Impact, I really tapered off watching from WWE, only because I didn't have as much time, and it was confusing a bit to understand, all of their storylines going on. I'm having to keep track, because I was more of an announcer.
Mhm.
I'm having to keep track of, who has our belts and what storylines are what. But for other than that, especially if I were a wrestler, I'd be watching everything. So I don't know
Yes,
why.
exactly.
I've been in companies where it's like, oh, I didn't know you were in Impact Wrestling. I was like, well, and then I'll find out later that they did know. And it's like, well, then why were you trying to big league? Like, there's no reason. Like, can you imagine me meeting, like, I don't know, one of the girls from WWE and be like, oh yeah, I wasn't aware. Now, granted, if I wasn't aware, that's one thing. But they were aware. Like,
Of
let's just
course
call
they
it,
were.
if you're actively involved in wrestling and you're
Mhm.
competing, you pretty much have a general understanding. And it's not cool. And it should have never been cool to just pretend that they don't watch the product. It's a bunch of
Oh, I
BS.
know.
We all watch everybody, and we should support everybody. It's real simple, you
Mhm.
know?
Oh, no,
Need
definitely,
rocket
yeah,
science. Yeah.
definitely.
I am on a rant tonight. I haven't even started on the wine yet. Look out, ladies and gentlemen. I think, you know why? Because I think it's the Rumble area of excitement that's happening from the
Oh my
Rumble. So I think
god,
I'm just in that
yes.
mode.
So, I wanna ask you, like, you're one of the hosts of the GAWTV is Grown Ass Woman, and how did that happen? Like, how did you get Mickie and Lisa involved with it? Like, how did everything happen?
Well, I had to bribe them quite handsomely. I'm still paying both of them off. I'm kidding. It was sort of a mutual thing that we were all kind of like, all right, everything's becoming virtual now. Mickie and I were the first ones to talk about it. Of course, Lisa was our clear third, our bestie.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that we love doing interviews. We love, the fact that things are on social media now, everything's virtual, much easier to schedule things virtually, especially with Mickey's, schedule. She's everywhere,
Oh
literally
my god, I
everywhere, which
know.
is so cool. But she's a busy girl, she's a mom.
Mhm.
So we knew that if we did it kind of virtually, we're all in different time zones as well. I'm in England, Lisa's in California, Mickey's on the East Coast. It's one of those things where a virtual show just made sense for all of our lives, all of our different careers that we have going on. And we just said, okay, so what's going to be different about this? We literally thought, okay, after shows, yes, we love doing signings and all that, but a lot of times it's a reunion for us, right?
Well, yeah,
So
exactly.
totally, and that's part of the fun for us. We do it anyway, but it's fun to be like, oh my god, so and so's here. Did you see, Brooke Tessmacher? We'll go have a drink with her after. And
Yep.
it's literally like the same conversations we'd be having if after a signing we went to our hotel room, put our robes on, got a bottle of wine or five, who's judging, and just literally had an unfiltered conversation and just, fun, and got to know each other and got to recap, what's been going on. So we do have guests that we haven't met before, like I said, but a lot of it is wrestling, because we know that primarily our audience is wrestling fans, which is cool. They're the ones that are supporting us and they love the show.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just really candid. That's why we wanted to be around cocktails and a slumber party pajama theme, because it really just puts people at ease. It's not a rigid interview about like trying to get clickbait or trying
Well,
to get
yeah.
like someone to say something. That we see enough of that, and it's not cool. Sometimes when you do these interviews, they're trying to get these headlines. Ours is just like, oh my god, remember that one time where Lisa got on stage with a guy with a tambourine and like did the worm? Like, these are just fun, lighthearted stories. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. It's many a story. Or just silly things that have happened, and ours coming up in business. We get a little bit deep on some subjects about like
Mhm.
female empowerment, and we support a lot of charities and things like that. But for the most part, we wanted it to be, especially because we got together during COVID to do it, a really fun escape, something lighthearted. Every Wednesday, I don't think people realize this, that every Wednesday, if you watch the show as it premieres live,
Yeah.
Mickie, Lisa, and I are always, and sometimes the guest as well, we're in the YouTube chat, watching along with you, typing along with you. So people have now become, big fans of joining us on Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's a little late for me. It's 10 p.m. for me in the UK, but
Oh, wow.
we always say, yeah, it's the time difference is a bit crazy, but we always say, grab a glass of wine or Gatorade, whatever the hell you want, put on something comfortable and join us for, a fun chat. That's all.
I mean, I have watched some shows, and it's so chill. Like I mean,
Right.
everybody is nice, and you're always funny, and
Thanks. I have way too much fun. I don't know how this became a job of mine. Like, what do you do for a living? Well, I get into my kimono robes, my pajamas, and I drink wine on camera with my friends, and we just talk crap for a good hour.
right, exactly.
Not the worst way to make a living. Could be worse, right?
Right, exactly. And you love your wine. So what kind of wine do you love most? Is there like a special kind that you like?
There is. I mean, it's funny because being in Europe and I've kind of learned to, you know, by trial and error, find wines that I like or I don't like. My favorite would be like a New Zealand Sauvignon. So it's very crisp, kind of grassy. It sounds weird. But it's funny, we always joke about on the show too, like what we used to drink when we thought we were cool, like 21 years old, like, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this wine. And like everything we used to drink then we're like is disgusting now. So I started on like a white Zin, gross. I started on like, different like Midori sours. Like who orders that? But you don't know what you're ordering when you're young. So now at like 35, I'm like, all right, I know what I want. It's a vodka soda or a white wine or, yeah. And it's funny because a lot of times we have guests that don't drink or we have, wellness episodes. We don't always do that, but it is fun. And it's just an excuse because people sometimes will be like, oh, is the show all about drinking? And I'm like, no, the show's literally just like a cocktail party. So no one's forced to drink. It's literally just, it is kind of a way to keep people kind of knowing that it's casual.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like you're at a bar
exactly.
with your friends. Yeah. Cause you know what I mean? It's not like, okay, I've got my notebook and I'm like, hosting the show. It's very chill and we get off track all the time. And we've had meetings about like, okay, we haven't hit this point, that point. But it's the tangents, I think, and the unfiltered, unscripted moments that I think are why it's so fun. We'll go off on a tangent about, somehow it always goes to food. I don't know why. Every show, like Taco Bell gets brought up. I don't know, it gets weird. But that's the candid stuff that I hope people like. And that's what I love that people are seeing about Mickie and Lisa, who
Yeah.
are these larger than life
Oh,
serious wrestlers. But
definitely.
now they're seeing the hilarious side that I've always
Exactly.
seen when I've
Exactly.
been at these pajama parties in real life. It's just that now you get to see them too.
Right. And I I wanted to do something where I want your opinion on who's gonna win the matches at the Royal Rumble, because I know you're hosting a Royal Rumble viewing,
I
and
am.
so in honor of you hosting the Royal Rumble viewing, I would like to get your thoughts and predictions. And
Ooh,
so,
well, I have to be honest. I've been looking way more at the women's Royal Rumble than the
okay,
men's. So I know the women's, of course, I'm looking forward to Mickie James winning, and anyone else that tries. Good luck to you, my friend. See you in the back. Yeah, loser. Just kidding. Not kidding. But we'll try to be politically correct because it's your show and I'm being polite. No, but I mean, Mickie winning would be my favorite thing ever.
yes,
For the men's, I have to say one of the matches I saw that I was looking forward to is Beth Phoenix and Edge versus Maurice and Miz.
I know, I'm really
I
looking
love like
forward to that.
yeah, I just love like a mixed. I just think it's cool, and I just love like a
Yes.
mixture of the couples, and that's kind of fun. And I love a storyline. You know how I am. Obviously, I've been talking about love triangles and things, so this is something that's up my alley. I'm interested in. Becky Lynch and Dewdrop. Now, Dewdrop, I would know her as Viper or Piper Niven from
Yeah.
the UK.
Hmm.
She's one of the best here, and I'm so proud of her. So I'd love to see how she fares tonight. For the men's Rumble, is Seth Rollins in it or is he not? I think he is.
I think he is. Yeah, I'm
And
pretty sure he is.
he's one of my favorites. Or you know what? Dolph Ziggler is always probably a number one choice for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think he's one of the most, I don't say underrated because he's had a wonderful career, but I just think he's so, so, so talented that I would love to see just that moment from him. And just, I don't know. I keep wanting a resurgence of Dolph Ziggler. And he's done so many different things in WWE and he has a great career, but
Oh, I know.
I don't know. I just think he just deserves it. He's just one of those guys that's really that intangible star quality, that it factor. He just has
Yes.
that. And he's somebody that I've always just thought, wow. Like when I met him, I remember thinking, like I said to him, I was like, I feel like I know you because all my friends. He's like, yeah, same. Cool, like exactly what you would hope. It's just cool, funny, nice, really charismatic, and that I think is kind of the ultimate wrestlers. They have that sort of
Okay.
star quality. I'm
Okay.
not saying I'm going to compare him to Roddy Piper, but when I met him briefly, he was in an elevator and he just like exudes this like cool, God rest his soul. He was a lovely
Yeah.
gentleman. He just exuded this cool, like I'm talking to a star vibe. And that's
Right.
how I feel
Right.
like Dolph Ziggler is. Yeah.
No, Dolph.
Yeah.
I know Dolph is like a big rock and roll guy. Like he loves crew
Yeah.
and oh my god, yeah, I'm a big rock guy too. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's one of those wrestlers that he's a total package. Like if I were creating a wrestling company, I would say this about him. And I also say that all the time about Adam Cole Bebe, that he is somebody
baby,
you'd want on your roster. I've worked with him enough to know he's so professional
yeah.
and just a nice person and just has all of the, ticks every box. So there's that WWE has a lot of those kind of types, but I think those that I mentioned are ones that personally I think should be invested in more.
Okay. And what about Brock and Bobby?
Oh, see, this is hard for me because I'm looking at it from a managerial standpoint because Paul Heyman is like my personal Jesus, but my husband and I are very good friends with MVP. So
Okay.
I kind of want Bobby to win because I love Bobby and he's like, kick his ass, be Lash is what I used to always say to him. And he's lovely.
Nice.
And I don't know Brock as well, but I kind of don't want to see Paul Heyman lose. Does that make sense?
Oh no, it
No
does. It
offense
does.
to our very good friend MVP, but I mean, it's Paul Heyman. He's the ultimate.
Exactly. You're
But yeah,
right. Exactly.
Brock's too scary. Give it to Bobby Lashley, but yeah, but just show me a lot of Paul Heyman so I can be entertained by him.
Okay. There you go.
Very weird answer. I'm sure you were not prepared for
No,
that.
it's great. I
That
love
makes
it.
no sense, Val. Thanks for coming and confusing the viewers.
It's great. I love it. And you hosting this Royal Rumble viewing, like what can people expect with this? Is there going to be contests and stuff like that?
There
And
are, and that's what's fun about it for me. I always say pay-per-views are fun, but number one, this is my favorite pay-per-view
yeah,
of the whole year. Number two, I always say to people because they say, "Oh, my girlfriend wants to come." Like, even if they don't watch wrestling, or even if someone's boyfriend or whatever, if they don't watch wrestling, it's still a really fun pay-per-view because it's
yeah,
quick, it's just entertaining and exciting. Other
mhm.
pay-per-views, people might get a little like, "This is a lot of wrestling." This is like
That's
fast-paced,
true.
fun. But yeah, and thirdly, I think when you're watching it at home is one thing. I've had very many pay-per-view parties, party of one by myself at like 16. Like nobody came. I ordered a pizza. It's weird. But it's way more fun when you have people to like have some camaraderie with. You got snacks, stuff like that. This place, MK11 sports venue and live music venue, is the ultimate place to watch it because we've got the cosplay contest, we have a
Oh
smack talk
wow.
battle. If people want to come cut some promos, which is always the funniest thing, and so much entertainment there. We've got a WWE music playlist. There's a lot going on.
Oh,
And of course, I'm there to just talk wrestling and give you really horrible wrestling puns all night long.
hey, that's perfect.
Yeah. You're
I
gonna
mean,
hate me by the end of it, but I'll be laughing at my own jokes. So that's good.
well,
Somebody should.
the one thing I'm looking forward to most is for the Royal Rumble is your your good friend Mickie, like the Impact Women's Champion, kicking down that forbidden door and
Yeah.
being live on a WWE show. And if she
Yeah.
wins, it would be Impact Champion versus Raw or SmackDown Women's Champion. Like that would
Wouldn't
be
that be so cool?
crazy. Yeah.
I know. And honestly, I'm gonna cry. I always cry when I see my friends a lot of times anyway. But this is just something that's so big of a deal to me, having been an Impact, that I just feel like it's just such a cool time to be a wrestling fan. I say that a lot, but I really mean that. Like this would have never happened back in my day. It makes me sound old, but this is just something that's so woke and so progressive. And we're
Yeah.
so finally going in the right direction that I'm just so thrilled for her and for Impact and just for wrestling in general. It's really, really cool. And
Okay.
I'm gonna cry.
Well,
I'll be crying over my and maybe into my Sauvignon Blanc, basically.
there you go.
It's so good.
I I know we have a a half hour for the interview, and it looks like it's on. I just want to.
That went by like 5 minutes.
I
I just looked
know.
because I'm thinking I do have to get to the pay-per-view party, but wow, that's a sign of a good show. You did a fantastic job if it felt like 5 minutes.
I know. Like I have to literally just look down now at the clock to see what time it was because it it really felt like it was only like what, 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
I love that. Well,
I
well, you
know.
know where I'm going after this. I'm hosting, but how are you enjoying the pay-per-view tonight? Are you watching with
I'm
friends? You
actually
gonna hang solo?
no, I'm actually going to my cousin's house, and we're gonna order pizza and wings, and just gonna have like a great time watching it. And I
That's
definitely
so
will be
fun.
cheering for Mickie.
Yes, yes. Any sort of tagging of Mickie James and Gaw, we'll share it on social media because we want to make sure that everyone's just as excited as we are for this. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to
Thank you.
enjoy. After my hosting is done, I kind of get to sit down and actually watch the pre-show, which I love. I love the hosting bit and all of the recapping. That's like my favorite part, of course. And then the actual pay-per-view is going to be a lot of fun. It does go on till about 4 or 5 a.m.
Oh
here.
wow.
Yeah, and it's 7:30 right now, so I have to be there just a bit. But I mean, it goes on until it starts at like midnight or 1.
Wow.
So
Okay. Wow.
isn't that crazy? And
That
that's how
is crazy.
dedicated these UK wrestling fans are because they'll stay up for the whole damn thing. They were up.
Wow.
I might be asleep. No, I'm kidding. Red Bull vodka for the win, right?
Right, exactly. You're right.
Tonight I'm sponsored by Red Bull.
Okay. I just wanted to ask like one final question, and then
Sure.
I'll go. Because every time I have a guest, I always ask them that because my show deals a lot with horror films. And do you like horror films? And if you do, what are some horror films you like to watch?
I can't disappoint you, but I do not like horror films. I am
Okay.
terrified of. Honestly, I have look at me at ringside watching wrestling. I hate blood, things like that. I like more like sci-fi, not just sci-fi, but like thrillers, like intellectual kind of thrillers,
Mhm.
like they're not super gory. Like The Sixth Sense, I think is one of the best kind of scary
Yeah.
movies. I mean, it's not like a scary, but you know what I'm saying? It's like a thriller. A lot of ghost stories really get to me, like The Haunting. I thought that was a good one. I loved it as a
Mhm.
kid. I did like the first and second Screams. I've not seen the new one,
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, more of those kind of movies. And like, what
Okay.
was a good one that scared the hell out of me? And it's not really a horror movie or scary, but it scared me. I guess it's scary. War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That stuck with me. Like I still see like this is getting deep here. I don't know what happened on this show. Here we go. I still see like cracks in the street and think, oh my God, here they come. Aliens are on the way. I'm done. I'm dust. I'm out of here. It's a scary ass movie. I saw it in the theater and I was like, I wish I had never seen that. It's so scary. I was there to see Tom Cruise. I don't know what the hell I felt afterwards. I was like, oh my God, it's a freaky because aliens, oh, very scary.
Exactly. You're
You're
absolutely
welcome for the nightmares in case you guys have not seen that movie.
And where can fans find you at? What's your page, your socials and pages and all that stuff?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, anything you want to find out about the show is GAWTV, as you said, Grown Ass Women TV, GAWTV.com. That has links to our YouTube show. We're in podcast form. We have a Patreon that shows the full hour-long episode, as
Mhm.
opposed to just the more filtered half-hour episode on YouTube. I'm on Twitter at SoCal Valerie, Instagram official SoCal Val, and I've got a Patreon. I've got an OnlyFans. I do a lot of great exclusive content. I try to update it almost daily if I can. And yeah, I'm very active on social media, and anything that I have coming up, I'm usually pretty good about promoting. So where I'm going to be next, I will tell you. I will be in the Dallas area for Mania,
Oh,
but I have more
nice.
details about that coming soon. But that's the plan, to go to Dallas. And listen, my cowboy boots have been ordered. I'm going. I'm
Awesome.
serious if I ordered cowboy boots.
Well, hey, if you're going to Texas, you have to have a pair of boots and a cowboy hat.
Yes. And I was born in Texas. I lived there till I was 9. So I'm
Oh,
excited. I haven't been in years. So I'm excited to not only have some barbecue and Tex-Mex, but yeah, get a little slice of home. England's lovely, but it's no America. So I miss my peeps. And
that's
of course I'll
true.
have all of my peeps there for Mania, and we have GAWTV stuff happening. So stay tuned.
Oh, wow, definitely will.
Yay.
Well, thanks again for taking time out of your day. Is it day or night now over there?
It's night, but
It's
this was
night.
honestly, you're a pro. This was really, really fun. I appreciate it a lot. And I think it got me even more excited to go host the Rumble party now, because now we've been talking about it. I got the creative juices flowing. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. Thanks so much for doing this. I mean, it was really cool talking to you. Like I said, I watched you on television. I saw you at cons and stuff, but like actually talking to you, your personality is great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, until we meet again, hopefully it won't be too long from now. Now that COVID is kind of getting a little better, I can travel a little bit more. So hopefully I'll see you in person again.
Definitely, yes. All
Thank you,
right.
y'all. So much fun. Thank you, everyone watching and
Thank
listening.
you. Have a good night and have fun watching the Rumble.
Thank you, Del. You too. Enjoy.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
So say it on God. Cheers to you.
Oh, cheers. I'll put my phone up. Here we go.
Perfect. Perfect. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Yay. Thank you so much. So anything you want to send me links wise and stuff, just either email it or tag me and I'll just have to, I'll share or retweet for you.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. Thank you. This is so fun. I'm sorry
Yeah,
I have to go
definitely
host now, but
was.
I appreciate you getting me in the mood to go rumbling now.
There you go. Hey, I might even see you wrestle.
Oh, maybe not that. Maybe after a few Pinot Grigios, you never know. But thank you, seriously. I hope you enjoy the Rumble tonight.
Thank you. You too.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.